you know, not excusing and not coddling the purveyors of, you know, the pornified culture is very important, and we were the Wonder Twin Powers with Akon.
Oh yeah, so that's a power to the people moment.
Yeah, another one.
You've been at the forefront of all these things. You should have co-authored the book.
Silent partners here.
Yeah, well the Akon thing was another example of, you know, and I know you were on this, and a couple of others were as well, but you know, there's a video where this rapper, #1 downloaded song in the entire country, I Wanna Blank You, isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
It starts with F, by the way. How original. So that big song, guy's a huge superstar. He's a global rap superstar. Has a, you know, does a simulated rape of a girl on stage. Well, almost looked like he raped her, frankly. And it wasn't in this country, it was in the Caribbean, but it was so shocking to see this. And then when I saw that Verizon was sponsoring his concert tour, I'm like, what? I'm a Verizon wireless customer. How? All I can say is it's the visuals, and you had it linked up on Hot Air. I had it put it up on my website. When people saw this, it's like, what? How is Verizon wireless? How does this jibe with the message of keeping connected? Okay, if whatever that is, I want to stay disconnected from that. Okay, so in 72 hours after I started talking about it, springboarding really of what you were doing, and was it Debbie Schlussel? Yeah, she was doing great stuff. Yeah. So all of us together kind of created this juggernaut out in the public, on the blogosphere and talk radio, and they slammed Verizon. I mean, Verizon didn't know which end was up, and we'd call their marketing office or corporate communication office. Well, we're Mr. Smith is out on vacation until next week. I'll be like, get him back from vacation. It's a Laura Ingraham show calling. So in 72 hours, they announced very quietly on a Friday afternoon that they were pulling their concert sponsorship of Akon. And I was on my way to New York, and I got the message. I said, let's just see if the dinosaur media, the old media, will cover this. Mm-hmm. No. Sure enough, it was written about in a dismissive way like a week later.
Right.
You know, it was an amazing moment. That was probably $10 million he lost on that, because the people said, this kind of porn garbage, this debased culture, is not something we're going to support. Imagine if we did that across the board.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, they understand the loss of money. They do get that. He's kind of cleaned up his act a little bit on stage. Maybe we even helped Akon. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, he's apologizing now, sort of.
Yeah. Well, sort of. Yeah. But still, it's a sign that as debased as things have become, we see these little victories, little successes along the way, and we got to take lessons from those, learn from them, and then use those as a springboard.
The whistleblowing that you do on the show is so powerful, though, because, and the way you do it too. I mean, there are a lot of folks who use sledgehammers, but I think having a sense of humor and just the way you conduct it and let people know about it on the radio show, I think having a great sense of humor as
humor
you do,
is a good weapon.
And being able to mock and laugh at them sometimes is so much more powerful than writing 2,000-word dissertations in journals that nobody will read.
Yes, exactly. Well, I don't have time to do that anymore, so I just use my whatever brain I have and ability to reason. So that was a good moment.
Turning to family now, because this is definitely related. It's one of your first chapters in the book. You described a moment when you were taking a number of family friends,
it was
young kids, to Shrek 2.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
My friends, the Cipollones, who are like my family, my extended family, they live in the Washington, D.C. area, and they have 9 kids, all under the age of 14. And the father, Pat, is my godfather, and he's my age. You know, I was a late convert to Catholicism, so he's my age, and I've gotten to know them very well. And it is amazing to see them, you know, with this huge family and all the competing interests and desires for attention and so forth. And so sometimes I'll say, look, let me take the kids off your hands. So I think this particular day I took 5 or 6, if I remember, maybe 6 of them to Shrek 2. So it was an afternoon matinee. We all went over to the mall in Montgomery Mall in Maryland, and we were waiting in line, big line, huge line, and all the kids were behaving really well. And so standing there, and I heard these women whispering behind me. And you know how you can just sense that someone's saying something snarky sometimes? You're like, little spidey radar goes up, you know, spidey vibes. So I could hear and I heard one of the women say, I hope those aren't all hers. And then the other was like, oh, the poor thing, or something along those lines. And so I thought to myself, okay, I just calmed down. I shouldn't say anything. But then of course I had to. I turned around and I said, ladies, is there an issue here? Is there some problem? Oh, no, I just was commenting on your family. I said, well, they're actually not my family, but there's like a couple more at home. You should have seen their faces. They're like these perfectly, and they had their one child each with them, and they were perfectly coiffed in like the quilted jacket wearing, weekend wearing type women. And I think just that little example of kind of the actual sheer revulsion of something which should be celebrated, people who actually give so much of themselves that they believe that there's something to a big family. Not that there's anything wrong with a small family. I mean, I came from a family of 4. I have 3 older brothers, but it led me to believe and think really a lot about this. How do we value children today? We have a lot of people like Pelosi and Boxer and all these women saying that they're doing it for the children. Mm-hmm. But children are used as a political interest group almost. It's not individual children, it's the children. And so when people, have big families and that's something they love and they celebrate. It's more love when you have more kids, if you're a dedicated parent at least. I think it's amazing that people think that's the selfish thing to do versus having the 1.1 child because you want to go to the south of France every summer. That's not selfish.
Right, or having the selective reductions which get praised in the op-ed pages
exactly.
of the New York Times.
Yeah,
right.
Or to have 12 frozen embryos and maybe I'll use one and throw the others away. So it just was a little snapshot of how completely turned around I think our priorities and values have become in really a short period of time. I have a quote in the book from Eunice Shriver, and she had I think they had Bobby Kennedy, and they had 10 kids I think, mm-hmm. and she had a great quote about how wonderful it is that she's looking forward to having her next child, and it was all about the wonders of a big family, and I believe it was in either Newsweek or Life magazine, and this was just what everyone did, and it was great, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now it's, oh, you're being so selfish. How do you do it? Like, if you put priorities on that versus going to the spa or the gym or going to lacrosse practices, and then you're somehow a freak of nature.
Right.
That's how things have gotten turned around, and I think it's people who really want to have big families or just value children. I think they should speak up, mm-hmm. and they should say, look, how are our priorities here right?
Right.
When those people are made to feel like the freaks, and the people with either out children or with an acceptable number of children are the big heroes. I don't get that.
You quote that famous Wallace poem with the verse, "The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world."
Yes.
But so often parents do feel completely disempowered, whether it's fighting the portified culture or
yes.
you dedicate a lot of time talking in the book about education.
Yes.
And yet we feel beholden to the teachers' unions and the educrats.
Yep.
And what is your advice to parents to reclaim that power that apparently we are all supposed to have?
Yeah, well, we've all, I think, ceded our power gradually, whether you're a parent or not, but especially parental authority has been gradually undermined with an agenda behind it, obviously. And just to take the public school example for a moment, what we're seeing in the curricula of our public schools is really a competing series of special interest groups wanting to interject their social views, their political views, into what should be pretty straight curricula, history or government or even English literature. And what's happened is that school boards have totally rolled over out of fear of being called politically incorrect or not tolerant enough or not diverse enough, and I don't think any group should be discriminated against. I don't think they should be. However, I also believe that parents shouldn't worry about their kids walking out of their front door in the morning and coming home and being told, as one group of kids were told, you need to not tell your parents what happens at this student assembly. Kids were told to fill out a form of confidentiality. They couldn't tell their parents. Now, why do you think that is? Because the parents are what's left between those on the socially on the left, politically on the left, who want to occupy the bodies of these kids. I mean, they want to be the invasion of the body snatchers. It's their social mores which are going to be implanted on the kids, not this notion of, there's one, male, female, husband and wife family is probably the ideal. That's so antiquated. No, that's a parents thing. Shh, don't tell them. And that's undermining of parental authority.